Okay, today we're going to take a look at the wind-up pin-walking Robby the robot that came out in 1983 originally, which would be this box design down here. Masudaya came out with it. It says 1984 there, but on the back here it says 1983. So take your pick, 1983, 1984. Reissued many times through the years in different boxes, and especially when Turner Broadcasting bought the rights to MGM stuff in Forbidden Planet. Then the robots had to say Turner Broadcasting on them, as I recall, someplace. This was a version that was marketed by Rocket USA, and this would have been at a much later date, probably in the 90s. Is there a date on there? Yeah, 97. But what was special about it is it was very low cost, and it was the very first Robby the robot toy that actually looked like Robby in the movie. I mean, it was very nice, and it was a wind-up and a pin walker like we just mentioned. So you got your side-to-side swivel as it moves forward. That was only like a half a crank because I didn't want to have to sit here and wait for it to unwind all the way. So these were very popular. The detail and mod, I modded literally hundreds of these. Initially, I took one back in the mid-80s. I think it was like 85 or 86, 1985, 86. And there weren't the small pager motors and type motors that we have now available then. So the smallest electric motor I could find to stick in one of these was from N gauge, S gauge, whatever the really small train gauge is. Stripped a motor out of one of those and then had to build a pulsing circuit to pulse it to make it walk, and it was on a wired remote. And there were only two things, as far as I know, that got lost when I moved from Seattle over here to Spokane, out of all of the thousands and thousands of robots that I had. And one of them was my wired remote Robby that I'd built. It hasn't ever turned up again. I'm afraid it must have got thrown away with packing. And another one was a little Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz robot that my father built when he was a kid. He was probably 10, 11 years old. That had survived all these years and didn't get lost until I made that move. Two things that were lost. Later, when the little tabletop RC cars and stuff came out with their digital controls, you know, the little teeny cars that you plug a charge in and you charge up and you can drive them around. When those came around, then I modded another one with that. So this one is radio controlled. Here's the antenna, if it even shows up on the screen. It's a thin antenna. I have the charger plugged into it right now because it's so old that the NiCad battery, which is actually up here in the head, isn't holding a charge and running very well. I think I can get a little bit of motion out of it, but I'm not going to get much. This is the remote control here. Had a forward and backward, and when it would be charging, I'll unplug this charger and plug it back in so you can see what I'm talking about. When it thinks it's charging, then there's a little red light LED that can be seen in the picture in the back, and when you're using the remote functions, then the light on the other side turns on. You actually hear it moving a little. Let's see if we can get some action. I'm going to leave the charger plugged in to try to give it more power, but it doesn't really work that way. Let's see. Are we on screen at all? Oh, I'm going to try unplugging the charger. Let's see if we can get some motion completely wireless here. Oh, we are. We got a little bit of charge in that old NiCad. Just go ahead and walk forward and backward. So I always said that this was the smallest radio-controlled Robby, faithful to the way it looked in the movie, and that might still be true. This particular case, this one was a 1997 Turner Broadcast one that I modified and put the radio-controlled electronics in. So there you have it. One of the, I mean, these used to be like between $5 and $7 when they came out. Very inexpensive for an accurate looking robot that actually walked really well for a wind-up. all the different box styles. Or was there anything more you guys needed to see on these? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't zoom away too quick without letting you take a peek at all the sides of this thing. They were always packaged well on the inside. You can see they always came with a little booklet back there. Normally there's a piece of gold foil cloth, not cloth, but paper wrapped around them. Let's see, like that. So this one came out of here. Let's see what's in here. See if they changed things for Rocket. Yeah, I think they dumped the more expensive wrapping and just started shoving them in the boxes to save money.